Am I the asshole for cutting off my daughter after she slept with her sister's husband? I, 59 female, have two daughters, Emma, 35 female, and Chloe, 33 female. Emma has been married to her husband, 36 male, for 11 years, and they have two children together. Chloe has been married to her husband, for 34 male, for 8 years, and they have one 5-year-old son. About 6 weeks ago, Emma called me just after midnight, completely hysterical. She told me she suspected for months that her husband was hiding something. He's become distant, constantly guarding his phone, and was always finding excuses to stay late at work. That night, after he fell asleep beside her, she looked through his phone for the first time. She found years of explicit messages between him and Chloe. The affair had been going on for almost 4 years. Emma was devastated. She kept asking me how her own sister could do this to her. A few days later, we were at my brother's birthday party when Emma confronted Chloe outside. Chloe denied everything at first and insisted Emma had misunderstood. When Emma said that she'd read the messages herself, Chloe completely fell apart. She started crying, admitted the affair, and kept repeating, "I don't know why I did it. I am so sorry. It was the biggest mistake of my life." Emma asked how 4 years could possibly be a mistake. Chloe had no answer. The argument escalated into a screaming match. Chloe tried to slap Emma, but several relatives stepped in before she could. Chloe's husband quietly took their son home after realizing what had happened. Within days, he told Chloe he wanted a divorce. Emma also filed for divorce after her husband admitted everything. After it all came out, Chloe called me 82 times in one day. I answered once because I hoped she was calling to explain herself. Instead, she cried the entire time, begging me not to abandon her. She said she'd already lost her husband, was probably going to lose shared custody of her son, and couldn't bear losing her mother too. She said that she knew she didn't deserve forgiveness, but begged me not to hate her forever. I told her I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. I said that it wasn't one bad decision. It was years of lying to her sister, her husband, and the rest of us. I told her I loved her because she's my daughter, but I didn't want contact with her for the foreseeable future. Since then, I've ignored every attempt she's made to reach out. This is where my family thinks I'm wrong. My sisters say Chloe has already lost everything: her marriage, her relationship with her sister, many of her friends, and likely the family she dreamed of giving her son. They say she's genuinely remorseful, she started individual therapy, and isn't trying to justify what she did. They argue that if a mother won't stand by her child after they've hit rock bottom, who will? They also remind me that cutting Chloe off means my grandson is growing up without his grandmother, even though he's done nothing wrong. I understand all of that, but every time I think about welcoming Chloe back into my life, I picture Emma reading those messages alone in the middle of the night, realizing that two people that she's trusted the most have been lying to her for years. I don't know if I can move past that. My family says I'm punishing Chloe forever for something she's already deeply regrets. I feel like I'm simply refusing to pretend it never happened. Am I the asshole? I know a lot of people are used to seeing cheating posts and always think that they are fake, but what would you do if you were in my shoes? And there is an update. The first update, 3 days later, after the original post. I know it's very early for me to post an update, and I wasn't planning on it, but after reading the comments on my first post, I decided I needed one final conversation with Chloe before I completely closed the door. I went to her house yesterday and expected her to be emotional after calling me 82 times in one day, but she was surprisingly calm. I asked her the one question I still couldn't understand. Why? She admitted she'd been attracted to Emma's husband for years. She said what started as an admiration eventually became feelings, and over time they crossed a line. Instead of ending it, they kept convincing themselves it would be the last time. She insisted she regretted everything. I asked if she's spoken to Emma. She told me the only contact that she's had was one text before Emma blocked her on everything. Emma told her she destroyed their family, taken away their children's stable home, and that she hoped the affair had been worth losing a sister forever because as far as she was concerned, Chloe no longer existed. Emma blocked her immediately afterward. Chloe also admitted she later waited outside the school gates hoping to speak to Emma when she came to collect the kids. Emma refused to speak to her, warned her to stay away from her and the children, and told her that if she ever approached them again, she'd regret it. Chloe loved crying. I told Chloe her waiting outside the school was completely inappropriate, regardless of their intentions. She insisted she only wanted to apologize to prove she cared about Emma. And then I asked if she truly felt remorse. That's when I completely lost my patience. Instead of taking full responsibility, Chloe started telling me Emma's marriage had already been falling apart, that Emma and her husband had been drifting apart for years, and that he often confided in her. She admitted the affair was wrong, but repeatedly tried to place part of the blame on Emma, saying if their marriage had been happier, none of this would have happened. I was furious. I honestly couldn't believe I had raised someone capable of thinking like that. I told her there's no marriage bad enough to justify secretly sleeping with your own sister's husband for 4 years. I told her I wasn't just disappointed, I was ashamed that she was my daughter, that the more she tried to justify herself, the angrier I became. The conversation eventually turned to her own divorce. She talked about how difficult everything had been on her and how her husband still plans to move to Washington State with their son to be closer to his family. She said she may have to move there too if she wants to stay close to him. As she was speaking, I realized almost everything was about what she had lost. Her marriage, her home, her reputation, and possibly seeing her son every day. Very little of it was about Emma or the damage that she had caused. At the end of the conversation, Chloe asked if we were cool. I told her no, we're not cool, and we might never be. I said that if I ever found out in my heart to reconcile with her, it would be on my terms and in my own time, not because she thought one conversation could erase 4 years of lies and betrayal. I walked out feeling angrier than when I arrived. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I love both my daughters, but after that conversation, I'm not convinced Chloe truly understands the pain that she had caused. And there's actually one more update, and this is the final update, 17 days after the original post. I said after my last update that I'd come back one last time once things had settled down a bit, so this will be my final post. First, thank you to everyone who commented on my last 2 posts. I read and replied to more comments than I had expected them. Some of them were difficult to read, but they gave me a lot to think about. The divorces are still going ahead. Nothing has been finalized yet, but neither couple is trying to work things out anymore. A lot of people also asked about my sisters. Yes, they knew about the affair before Emma found out. They admitted they stayed quiet because they thought it was a family matter and hoped it would end before anyone got hurt. I understand why they thought that, but I can't agree with it. Emma spent years being lied to while people around her knew the truth. I have decided to cut both my sisters out of my life. I don't know if that will be forever, but they have broken my trust. Over the last few weeks, I've spoken to both of my daughters separately. I asked Emma if enough time has passed for her to even think about talking to Chloe. She said no. She told me she isn't waking up angry anymore, but that doesn't mean she's forgiven her. She said that she's accepted the truth was always going to come out eventually. The only thing she could control was what she did after she found out. She also said that she has no interest in having a sister anymore. As for her husband, she told me she's made one thing very clear. She'll only respond if it's about the children or the divorce. Everything else gets ignored. What surprised me was that he hasn't stopped trying. He's sent long apology messages, videos about forgiveness, and even Bible verses. None of us are religious, so that confused all of us. He keeps saying she was the only woman he's ever loved and that he made one terrible mistake. Emma hasn't replied to any of those messages. I also found out something Chloe never told me. In my last update, I said Chloe told me that the only message Emma sent before blocking her was that she was no longer her sister. That wasn't true. Emma later showed me the messages. Before Emma sent that final text, Chloe had blamed her for what happened. She told Emma that maybe if she paid more attention to her marriage, things would have been different. She also said that if her husband had felt happier at home, he wouldn't have looked somewhere else. Reading those messages made me feel sick. When I confronted Chloe, she admitted she'd sent them. She said she was angry, desperate, and trying to make herself feel less guilty. She told me she regretted sending them almost immediately, but by then Emma had already blocked her. She admitted she tried contacting Emma's husband after everything came out, but he never answered any of her messages. She eventually stopped trying. She also told me she knows she'll never get her old life back, but she hopes moving will give her a chance to start over. I told her that starting over doesn't erase what happened. She agreed with me. A lot of people asked if I've forgiven Chloe. I have not. I still love her because she's my daughter, but I don't trust her anymore, and right now we don't have a relationship. Maybe that changes one day, maybe it doesn't. I honestly don't know. This whole situation has changed our family forever. Emma lost her husband and her sister. Chloe lost her marriage, her relationship with her sister, and most of her family. My sisters lost me because they chose to stay quiet. This will be my last update. I hope one day all of us can find some peace, even if we never become a family again. If I missed out on some details, I will respond in the comments. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next story tomorrow.